What is up, everybody, and welcome to an episode of Shooting the Shit Uncensored. It's Saturday night, it's midnight here, it's 10 a.m. Eastern over in the United States, and we're about to get this bitch cracking. So wherever you are in the world, make sure you kick back, pour yourself a cold one, crack yourself a stiff one, roll yourself a fucking green one if that's how you roll, because I'm joined with this very special guest host tonight, my homie, my boy, King Mega.
What's up, brother? It's good to be your guest host on the show this morning, Saturday morning in the U.S. night. Is it Saturday night or Sunday night in Australia?
Sunday morning, right? It just turned Sunday morning here, bro. But I'll consider it a Saturday night, man.
All my people down there in Australia locked down, wake the fuck up if you're not up. Everybody in U.S., wake the fuck up if you're not up. It's pissed off. It's pissed off Piers Austin in the building with your boy King Mega.
The lockdown kid here in Sydney, baby. But before we bring out our very special guest, we got an amazing guest. We got Kaide Lothbrok coming on, formerly known as Stockade, independent professional wrestler, deathmatch wrestler, and a guy that you're good friends with, Mega, and a guy that has really had a body transformation over the last 12 months, really. Like he looks fantastic. He looks great. Jacked.
Looks
but
great.
Guys, before we bring out Kaide, we have to take a quick pause for the cause to thank some of those amazing sponsors. First up is the Wrestling Universe. Now, the Wrestling Universe is your one-stop shop for all of your wrestling merchandise. They have all kinds of WWE, TNA, UFC, WCW, ECW, action figures, past and present. They carry t-shirts, wrestling cards, autographed 8x10s, masks, belts, and much, much more. They also have in-store signings. So if you're in Queens, New York, go and check them out. They have some of the biggest names in wrestling history going in there to do signings, like Kurt Angle, Darby Allin, Sting. They even had your homie on not too long ago, Mega, with Prince Nana. Mate, they are doing some amazing things, guys. All of their autographed items come with a certificate of authenticity. And if you're like me, you're in Australia, or if you're like someone in the UK, Japan, they ship internationally, so you can get your wrestling merchandise fix by going to thewrestlinguniverse.com. But why don't you take it away with our next sponsor, Mega, with sleeves.
Sleeves. If you want to protect your ding-a-ling, get your sleeves. Sleeves offers great quality products from arm sleeves, knee sleeves, headbands, tights, joggers, socks, and even dirty-ass boxers. And if you want to look like the Kingpin Angel, get those big sleeves with the big dong-a-dong-dong on the front. Yo, if you or somebody in your life is an athlete, then you definitely want to need to check out sleeves.com and get a little discount. Use our discount code MWA-POD.
And next up,
yo, I know a lot of you people out there, whether you're down under or over in the U.S., you guys want to puff, puff, give, puff, puff, pass. Don't do that. Puff, puff, keep. Keep your shit with Health Vape. Health Vape is your healthy vaping alternative. All their products are nicotine-free and don't contain any of that harmful or addictive chemical bullshit that's terrible for your body. I know Stockade wouldn't fucking use anything but Health Vape. If you want a little discount with this, also use our discount code MWAPOD. All of the Health Vape products are nicotine-free. They don't have any harmful or addictive chemicals, like I said before, and they're vitamin-infused. So if you want to get your Health Vape on, your health on, go to healthvape.com and enter our discount code MWAPOD.
Absolutely. And also we have to pay respects. The MWA Podcast Network, which we are powered by. We have some amazing shows here like Shooting the Shit Uncensored with me, the bald, the beard, the beautiful Piers Austin. But we've also got shows like Killing the Business with the former ECW original, the Kingpin Angel, King Mega, and Glenn Sexton, where every single week you guys are breaking it down, keeping it 100. No disrespect, Conan, but we keep it 100 on Killing the Business every single week. We pull no punches. We hold nothing back, and it's pretty hard to contain Angel. He just fucking goes off on tangents and, man, like no filter with that dude, so it's hard to control him.
Like an explosion.
But also, guys, if you still want more wrestling entertainment, you need to check out Get Funked, hosted by former WCW and TNA star Alan Kwee Funk. because let's face it, he's been bringing on some amazing guests from his WCW days, his TNA days. Man, really, I'm reliving my childhood watching Get Funked every single week and hearing some of the stories about training back in the power plant days. It really is an amazing show, Mega. Would you agree?
Yep, and that's a shoot, kid.
That's a fucking shoot,
That's
kid.
a fucking shoot, kid.
But we can't forget our boys, the Dead Presidents, Boogaloo and Lowrider, every week doing their thing on Nights of the Gimmick Table, having on some amazing guests, bringing on guys they've gone up and down the roads with over the last 20 years of being on the indie circuit. They're probably one of the most respected tag teams out there on the indie circuit at the moment, and their show is absolutely amazing. Uncensored, unfiltered, and uncut, baby. These guys go live every single week and do their thing.
And tomorrow night, Sunday night, US, 11 a.m. Monday morning, they got Homicide. So be sure to check that out.
Oh, hell yeah, man. But you know what? Let's take our time now. Let's bring out our guest, the man of the hour, too sweet to be sour, Kaide Lothbrok, a.k.a. formerly known as Stockade. Welcome to Shooting the Shit, bro.
What up, kid?
On, guys. Well, what's up, man? Look at you killing the products. So proud of you.
Look at this fucking bullshit fucking internet service he's got. He's already in a fucking jungle somewhere, fucking skinning snakes and fucking killing fucking turtles and shit and fucking doing all kinds of crazy
Is this thing
shit.
working? Who's on?
There we go.
There
we go.
Man.
Fuck.
But man, thank you so much for coming on. You've been one guy I've been wanting to talk to for a while and have on the show. So this is a great opportunity to have you on and to have you on with Mega as well, man. It's great to have both you guys on. But man, let's get started, man. First off,
absolutely.
I just wanted to cover off, man, like your body transformation is absolutely amazing and inspiring, like from what you were to where you are now and to continuing to make those changes and to make those lifestyle changes. What was it that really sort of motivated you and inspired you to, go for a healthier lifestyle?
I mean, basically, right before the pandemic, went to the doctors and he was basically like, man, if you continue doing, you might not be 50. And I met a girl and she's got a kid and just got tired of being the fat guy. So literally, I think it was April of right after the pandemic. I just started training hard for about a month and then about a year and a half now.
Dude, your fucking internet connection blows.
We're having some internet issues. Maybe Kaide can jump back out, jump back in, connect to his internet. But guys, we are here, we are live, we are waiting.
Live.
But I think as well, like Mega, how did you and Kaide sort of come to start working with each other?
So we both went to we both worked at NYWC in New York Indie Fed by Mikey Whipwreck.
Is this thing working?
There you go.
There you go.
Are we good now?
We're good.
I think so.
All right, there we go.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
That's Long Island. I got shitty service.
So yeah, like
a jungle somewhere. Where the fuck are you at?
Yeah, I'm on Long Island, man. I got shitty service. I ain't got that Miami, Florida service you got down there.
Yeah, fuck New York.
But yeah, you were saying that the motivation for you to get in shape and to sort of drop some weight came from your goal.
Yeah, well, basically, I just started dating a girl. She got a stepkid. She wound up forcing me to go to the doctors because I'm stubborn. And the doctor was like, yo, man, if you don't change your lifestyle, you might not make it past 50. And then with the pandemic, I just started, okay, man, I had nothing else. So I just started training and dieting. And then once the gyms opened up, it just became full on hardcore. I was diabetic. Not many people knew that. I kind of kept it on the down low. And my whole goal was to basically get out of being diabetic remission, whatever you want to call it. And about a month ago, I finally hit that goal. I went from 383 pounds was my heaviest to right now I'm 239, 241. So, it's like 140 pounds, almost 50 pounds.
Jeez, that's like you've lost a human being, man. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, literally.
Congratulations, man.
I mean, it's crazy. I look at photos of when I was my heaviest, and I'm sure, Mega, you've been up there too. I didn't realize I was that heavy. And then looking at photos, I was like, who the fuck allowed me in a wrestling ring? Like, I'm ashamed of all the promoters that allowed me to wrestle looking like that.
Yeah, you were big, man. I just remember one day, Piers, we were in right before a show, and I think this is when, because I had lost like 70, 75 pounds.
Yeah.
And I was feeling like fucking real fucking thin, dude. Like I was feeling weak as fuck. And then I remember Stockade, we used to always sit on a couch and I looked at Stock and I'm like, dude, you're heavier than me. And he was just like massive, but he could fucking, or he still obviously still can, but he could work.
Yeah.
And he started doing a deathmatch shit. And Stock, I don't know if it's because, did you start doing deathmatch shit because you wanted to do something different, or was it easier to maneuver with all that weight? Easier to hide the weight, I should say.
I think it was
Because you could always, because I've always told you, stop with the deathmatch shit. You could work. But I think
you know what it was, man?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what it was? Like I started working for Beyond Wrestling when they were really hot, and Beyond Wrestling is a cool company. It's not it's more of like a fantasy like wrestling league. Like they would do dream matches, like Dan Mock versus Ricochet. Like where the hell are you gonna see that? But it was like these matches that fans wanted to see. And the booker, Drew Cordero, he's more of a matchmaker than a booker. But the fans wanted to see me versus Matt Tremont, and that's how it started with deathmatch. And then it's easier on the body in the sense of like I don't have to go out there and work a 30-minute, normal back and forth match like I would with like a Tony Nese or whoever.
Mm.
I can go out there and do a bunch of dumb stuff and, milk it and get 15, 20 minutes. And then I fell in love with the style and it started to get me a lot of attention. But it was a combination of, getting the attention, getting the eyes on me, and also, it was a little bit easier in terms of I wasn't getting my ass, blown up and looking like a fool, even though I looked like a fool.
But were you a fan of deathmatch wrestling, or was it just something that you fell into, though?
Like I said, I was trained by, so I was always a fan of EC wrestling, but the Onita, Onitas and those guys. I'm a huge Cactus Jack and Terry Funk fan, but the idea of like no ring barbed wire and even like early CZW, I was never a massive fan of the light tubes and all that. But as I started to do it, you gain respect for it, and I have respect for all those guys. But it wasn't something that was like I'm gonna get in wrestling and I want to be a deathmatch guy. It was never my intentions.
Yeah,
it was more of a product of this is getting me, it was getting me attention, getting me more bookings because again, 180 pounds, tattooed, fat, white guy. It not really much stands out about someone like me. I can't do the flips. I can't do, I can't wrestle like a Timothy Thatcher or what's his name? The kid from England. I don't even know his name.
Ricky Osprey.
But yeah, Osprey, and then there's the other really technical guys. I don't know. They wrestle for 30 minutes and it's boring. But it was getting me attention, and that's what it was. Unfortunately, in wrestling, it's talent only gets you so far. It's word of mouth, and that's what it was getting me now.
I mean, how did you find like going in there and having like the first death match? Because I think a lot of people don't really understand about deathmatch wrestling. Is like one you can agree to go and do a death match, but then when you actually go in there, like I've spoken to deathmatch wrestlers who have had matches against people that have their first death matches, and sometimes guys just freeze, like getting a light tube smashed over your head or something. They go, "Fuck, I can't do this," and you're already in the middle of the ring. Like, was it something that you found like you adapted to quite easily?
I mean, look, it doesn't take much skill to hit in the head with a light tube or a cookie sheet or chair. It literally comes down to just being stupid. There's a saying, you got to be dumb if you're going to be tough.
Yeah.
There are guys that want to do death matches and then they get in it. Plenty of guys, for example, and tear you up. It's the same way. And I think guys go in and want to have death matches with guys like Masada or Matt Tremont or G-Raver or myself. And there's one or two guys. There's the guy that's going to go 100 miles per hour and think that this is real and try to really fight you. And there's a guy that's going to get hit and go doing and have that reality check doing in here. If you get the role and understand.
Yeah. No,
You're breaking up a little bit, brother.
yeah, you're breaking up a little bit there, man. If you're able to connect your cellular network instead of your Wi-Fi, I think that's probably going to work out best. But deathmatch wrestling, I think, it has always, had a part in professional wrestling. And you look back in the last 20, 30 years, like with Mick Foley, Terry Funk, even Onita over in Japan, there's always been like that consistent part of it, So. I definitely think deathmatch wrestling has a place, but it does take its toll on its performers, though, for sure.
Yeah, it definitely does. I mean, I'm not sure, everybody is built differently, and you have, those. This shit fucking sucks. Fix your shit. Your fucking internet's having fucking death matches right now. People are different. And you have your exception to the rule, but normally you can't work death matches for 20 years and have a healthy lifestyle afterwards. I mean, I'm sure you could, as long as you can stand up and walk, you could perform in a death match and abuse your body. But it's one thing to perform inside the ring and put on the show, but afterwards, if it's a fucking Saturday morning at 11 a.m. you waking up with your kids or by yourself, like, you don't want to wake up and be like, fuck, why am I doing this? Or was it worth it? Because when the fucking camera's off and the lights are off, it's a whole nother story. Once you're in that ring, the lights are on, boom, I'll do whatever the fuck I got to do. Light tubes, cinder blocks, barbed wire, fucking exploding rings, thumbtacks, Legos, whatever, right? And you got that adrenaline rush. So you're not going to feel as much pain. You will feel it, but you won't feel as much because you got that adrenaline. But when you're fucking home on a Sunday morning at fucking 10 a.m., yeah, that's better. You're home at a Sunday morning at 10 a.m., and you can't fucking get out of bed. That's when the fucking reality hits you, and it's like, fuck, man, is this really fucking worth it?
There we go.
Yeah,
we hear you. Yeah.
But as far as like getting in, like when did you start training to get into the business?
2004 September. With when I think it was what Mega was Critical Mass, right? It was
Critical Mass. Yeah.
So it was Critical Mass. They would close down. It was run by a guy named John Kearns. And I guess Mikey had, what was it, QWA or HWA? I don't remember the
QWA.
Yeah, so it was QWA. Mikey and decided, I guess, close that down. Joined up with the Critical Mass guys. They opened NYWC, and I was the second guy to join up in 2004 under Mikey. Literally, like I remember to the day. I remember watching the Chris Benoit DVD, which is probably taboo, but I remember watching that, and in that DVD, he was like, "What, I didn't want to be in my 50s saying what if," and that's pretty much the reason why I did it. I don't want to be like in my 40s going, "What if I would have tried that?"
Yeah, 100%. And I think that's probably a lot of the guys. It's like you don't want to sit there and have that sort of regret or hesitation in life. It's like give it a crack and give it a go. But once you actually started getting in there, how did you find like learning how to wrestle? Was it something that you automatically had that respect for the business, or was it like you went in there and really sort of learned to respect the business by getting in there and bumping and learning how to work?
I mean, I grew up loving the business. Like anyone that gets to the wrestling business, you're the ultimate fan. But in terms of like, I always found it weird, and I'm sure Mega, you can agree. You join a wrestling school, and you're like, Mike, you go, all right, we're gonna do body slams. I've fucked around like any kid. Like I've done a body slam, probably not right, but I know what a body slam is. But you get these guys that stare at you like, what the fuck's a body slam? What's a clothesline? It's like, what the fuck are you doing here? And that's something that blew my mind. But I love, I grew up loving this business. I just couldn't. I never remember a time it wasn't in my life. So it was just like, this is all I ever wanted to do, man. Like, this is it. And, I was fortunate enough to be trained by Mikey. There's a lot of schools out there, even now, that their guys don't even know who the fuck. They've done nothing. They got paid with a ham sandwich, and now they open a wrestling school and they're training people.
But I think it's one thing to be able to love the business, but to also then be able to contribute back to it in a proper way. Like, you know, there's a lot of fucking shonky fucks out there that really, when they start in the business, you know, they sort of just see you for what it is and a quick way to make money without really having a proper love for it, you know?
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's tons of guys out there, man, that either there's guys like, look, there's a guy that we know, a guy named Big O, who just comes into the business because he's got famous on a fucking internet TV show and thinks he's gonna make it to the fucking big time and make money. And then there are guys that come into business that absolutely love the business and don't care if they're getting paid nothing and will go out there in front of 3 people to 3 million and kill it. It's such a weird spectrum of guys that are in, especially now. Like, wrestling is in such a completely weird place. Meg always used to tell me that I joined wrestling way too soon. I should have joined in like the late 90s when he was coming up, because the guys now, like, and I'm one of the older guys. I mean, Mega was an old fuck to begin with, but now he's even fucking older. Black don't crack. Congratulations.
Black don't crack, brother.
But yeah, man, like now, like even in the deathmatch scene, it's like, you know, I know like a guy like Mega or like Boogie and Lowrider, those, you know, who are big bullies, by the way. Don't let them bullshit you. They're the biggest bullies in probably the Northeast. But that's why they had to move to Florida, because they couldn't get bookings anymore because they're such fucking bullies. But no, man, like I find kids today, like even in deathmatch wrestling, like they're like, why am I not doing this? Why am I not here? Why does he have that, or why does she have that? Nobody wants to earn anything anymore. Nobody wants to put the work in, and now even with like Twitter and stuff, I see so many guys that are like, I want to work for GCW, for example. And then GCW will be like, all right, if you get 150 retweets, we'll get you booked. And then that's how they're getting booked. And you got guys out there that have bled buckets or killed themselves for years that just don't get shit. And that's just what wrestling is becoming now, and it kind of sucks.
Yeah, 100%. And I think it's just, like I said, not having the proper respect for the business to be able to give back to it in a positive way. But, you know, you mentioned, you know, having a match with Matt Tremont, which was being your first death match. And I think with that, like, what better person to go in there and do it with?
Absolutely. Look, I mean, Matt, I know the wrestling world is a buzz because of Nick Gage, and I like Gage to death, and whatever Gage has done in his past, it's, you know, whatever. But in my honest opinion, Matt is the epitome of deathmatch wrestling. One, he's, if you've ever had a chance to talk to Matt, he's legitimately the nicest human being you'll ever meet, and he'll go out there and carve his body up. But Matt, to me, is the epitome. I mean, I was fortunate. I wish everyone had a chance to work Matt on their first deathmatch, because he's the type of guy that's not going to go in there and, you know, be like, hey, we're going to jump straight into the deep end of the pool and you're going to kill yourself. Like, it's a build, you know. But I was lucky. Some guys, you know, I get to go to a bunch of these deathmatch shows, and like you were saying before, there's good deathmatch wrestling, there's bad deathmatch wrestling, and I have seen plenty of fucking bad deathmatch wrestling that is just makes you want to. It makes me question why I do it half the time.
Wow, have you ever had like times where you've sat there and gone, you know what, I refuse to work with someone like a certain person? Obviously, we're not asking you to name names or anything like that, but you know, because deathmatch wrestling, I can imagine, gets people from all walks of life, you know, stumbling into it.
I've never refused to work somebody. I've had plenty of matches where I was like, no, we're not doing that, or no, we're not doing this, and that's just, or I've just blatantly been like, that's fucking stupid. One story in particular, myself, Matt Tremont, and a guy named Jeff Cannibal, we took a trip down to North Carolina, and Matt runs H2O, and this one guy, I never forget, like, I'm watching them set the weapons up, and it's like, as much as deathmatch wrestling has that, it's real, but it's wrestling. It's bullshit at the end of the day. Again, the light tubes are real. Some of the shit's real, but we're also not trying to go out there and really kill each other. But this guy, for whatever reason, came up to Matt, myself, and Cannonball, but he was talking to Matt, and he was like, hello, Mr. Tremont, my name is Big Country. Apparently in North Carolina, everyone's fucking name is Big Country. But he's like, I can't wrestle worth a damn, but I can do some really dumb shit for you. And I remember just turning to Cannonball like, where the fuck are we? And then his match, no bullshit. It was like, basically it was an Inferno match, but instead of just, again, on the indies, an Inferno match, because, you know, it's either a bunch of idiots standing outside with a lighter or they really like the ring on fire. They legitimately, they had a barbecue. Everything was on fire. Nothing was not on fire. The only thing that wasn't on fire was the ring. And I'm watching this going, what the fuck are we doing with ourselves? Like, I was 30, 31 at the time, going, "What am I doing? I drove 12 hours to watch an idiot light himself on fire."
Wow, that's fucking insane.
Yeah.
It's
That's
wow.
the level, like, but then I'll go work an H2O show or GCW, and there'll be like a guy like Masada who will wrestle and then do deathmatch instead of just what I call smash and crash, which grabbing a light tube and cracking each other in the skull with it. Because, like I said, there's good, but
Right.
there's good wrestling and there's bad wrestling, and there's good deathmatch and there's bad deathmatch. It's just deathmatch wrestling has that stigma of being, I guess the lazy style. I guess it's vilified by guys like Cornette, and I don't know. I love it, but when it's done right, it's great. It's like anything. When it's done well, it's awesome. When it's done shitty, it's the shits. It just has a stigma because a lot of the guys, when you look at deathmatch wrestlers, like Nick Gage. Nick Gage doesn't exactly look like, when he came out of prison, he looked great. Now he looks like he's fucking gonna be jacking a bank again. And a lot of the guys aren't exactly. You look at Necro Butcher. He's fucking. I don't even know how he's hanging on to life. It's not exactly glorified. You're not seeing the Ric Flairs in deathmatch wrestling. Basically, is what I'm trying to say.
Oh, 100%. And you look at deathmatch wrestling with what it does have to put out, and there has been some guys that have really been able to make a career out of it. But the one thing about deathmatch wrestling is you're not going to see it on mainstream television. You know what I mean? Like, you'll see a watered down version of it.
Well, weren't we proven wrong last fucking Wednesday?
I mean,
no, go ahead. I'm sorry. Sure.
No, I was just going to say, like, that must have been a big thing having Nick come out on AEW television, though, for like a lot of deathmatch guys.
I mean, look, as a deathmatch team, it's awesome. I mean, it's all deathmatch wrestling. Honestly, that family, whatever that genre, that group of guys, for the most part, are the nicest fucking guys I've ever met. There's no drama. There's no BS. Probably because we're all batshit fucking crazy, crazier than normal wrestlers, which normal wrestlers are fucking crazy. But seeing Nikki on there, it's like, fuck yeah. For a guy like me, or there's other guys, and I'm by no means like, I know Mega went off because Nick Gage is because if it was a black wrestler, well, we couldn't have him.
Damn right.
Because fucking Mega thinks it's a plight as a black wrestler. Yeah, I know. Fucking,
damn
it's
right.
always been that way, right? Fucking.
Shit.
Isn't you got a Samoan and a Bobby Lashley as champion, but fucking fuck the white man. Anyway, but yeah, it was all for, and it was great to see Gage, but you got a guy like me that I'm busting my ass for a year and a half. I can't even get a fucking email back, or I know a bunch of guys, or even like a guy like Matt Tremont. It's where I'm happy for him, but it's just like, all right, is this an open doors, or is this now? My fear is that everyone knows what Nick Gage did, his past, and whatever. Yeah. Look, if he's on drugs, he's not on drugs. If he robbed the bank, whatever the fuck he did, he did. My fear is that the mainstream is going to go, oh, deathmatch guys are just ex-junkies and bank criminals. Because that's what they promoted on the television. They were like, this is Nick Gage. Right. He robbed the bank. Awesome. How about this is Nick Gage, a fucking world-known deathmatch superstar, blah, blah, blah. Not the first thing is, well, he robbed the bank, because that's all they're going to talk about. That's all jerk. I guarantee it's all you're going to hear about is how he robbed the bank. Which is, again, it's what he did. But fuck, Jerry Lawler apparently had fucking sex with 13-year-old girls. We don't hear about that all the time.
Yeah. I was shocked. I was shocked when they mentioned it on fucking TV. I'm like, why would you fucking promote a fucking criminal to a national audience? Stupid.
And I love Gage. Like, look, Nick Gage is. Honestly, he's probably the most over indie guy in the world because he has a bunch of fat, and I'm not making fun of your fan base or anyone like that, but he's got a bunch of idiotic middle-aged white guys that are yell MDK, which is murder, death, kill, and saying they're gang affiliated, and it's amazing to watch as a wrestler. But then you see these people yelling MDK all fucking day, and it's like, dude, the only thing you're gonna fucking murder is a Subway sandwich from fucking Subway. You're not doing anything. Shut the fuck up. Like, stop it. Just stop. And they're gang affiliated. I'm like, go walk down fucking go walk down Lake City, New Jersey, on the boardwalk, yelling, I'm gang affiliated. See how that's gonna work for you. Like, stop. Like, you're promoting. Like, I get it. He was in jail. He's bad, but he came out looking. I don't know if you saw him when he came out. He came out. I worked him when he came out. He was like a fucking animal. Now he looks like Scarface in the last act. Like, I don't know what the fuck happened.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that he had like a lot of when he came out, he was jacked. He looked like he was ready to go. But again, like it's just now it's kind of looked like his health has taken a decrease. But that could be obviously due to drug abuse and obviously all the years of putting himself through that punishment of doing death matches.
Yeah, 100%. Like again, I'm not. I honestly like Nick Gage, the wrestler, and Nick Gage, the person, is night and day. I'm happy for him. I mean, I really do hope it leads to something more because then it'll open doors for more guys. I don't know, man. AEW just seems like seems like Vince McMahon let his fucking grandchildren out to play in the backyard and they created AEW because I watch it sometimes and like Mega, I have people that I'm friends with that work there and I've had them, and don't get me wrong, I will sign a contract in a heartbeat. I don't fucking care. I will sell my soul, but there's just a part of it that's just, I don't know. I watch it like I'm a huge Sting fan. I don't hate Orange Cassidy, but seeing Sting do the shit Orange Cassidy, I'm just like, I don't know. Not for me. Yeah, but if they paid me, I'd fucking be there. I'll be Apple Cassidy. I don't give a fuck.
But when you broke into the business, what were your goals for wrestling? Like, what were your aspirations when you actually started to get into the business?
I just wanted to wrestle, man. I didn't care who it was for, how much money. Like, I always just wanted to wrestle. Now, being in wrestling, obviously, I would like to, make a living at it and pay my bills. As you can see, all these fucking goddamn reptile tanks don't fucking pay themselves. And I got a girl and a kid to fucking take care of. But no, man, I just wanted to wrestle. Like, that's it. I just wanted to be one of those guys that just wrestled, and I wanted to do it every chance I got, as much as I can. And that's still, honestly, my only goal. If I've been fortunate to go to other countries on someone else's dime. I've been fortunate to wrestle in front of 5,000, 10,000 people. Like, I've done some cool things on other people's money. But my ultimate goal right now, and like always, is to make a living at wrestling. And whether that's WWE, Impact, Ring of Honor, I don't care. I don't care if some guy flies into North Carolina once a month and gives me $3 photos of me, whatever it takes. As long as it involves wrestling, I'm making money at it, I'm fine.
Do you find now, like obviously with the massive weight loss and body transformation, that you probably put yourself in a better opportunity to get a contract with a major company? Like, do you think that they would now look at you a different light as opposed to what you were?
I would hope, but at the same time, I couldn't tell you. Like, when I started, and I think Mega would agree, there was like a stigma. You had to be like 6'5" and 300 and some pounds. And in Mega's case, you had to be white.
That's right.
I know. Fucking, yeah, I know. But no, like, there was like that stigma. You had to be like 6'5" or whatever, an ex-football player. And if you were a wrestler, you weren't going to get a job because why would you want to hire a wrestler? You don't hire a fucking quarterback to play catcher. But now I don't know. Like, now I don't want to sound bitter or jaded, but sometimes I just feel like it's maybe not in the case of WWE, but absolutely in the case of AEW. I feel like if you're not in the boys club, then you're not going to get a job. Like, a lot of the guys I feel like are getting looked at are friends of a friend or whatever. And then you got a guy like Eddie Kingston who deserves it, but I feel like Eddie slipped through the crack because he did that fucking kick-ass promo. Everyone was like, wow, this guy can really work. Yeah, he doesn't look like any typical wrestler, but this guy can fucking tell a story. And then as far as WWE, there are guys that get signed, and I'm like, yeah, that guy would never get signed. And the next day he gets signed, and I'm like, okay. So, I mean, I would like to think so, but, being a long-haired, bearded, tattooed guy, I'm like fucking a dime a dozen. Now you got to be, I don't even know. You got to be LGBT, green, space alien with a fucking dog and a stick coming out of your ass to get attention. I have no idea.
Yeah, I mean, I think wrestling, it comes down to uniqueness as well. Like,
absolutely, that's what it was.
Everything's been seen before, if you have a unique look, that comes down to the main part.
You look at like not so much the WWE roster, but like you look at AEW's roster or even Ring of Honor, like everyone looks the same. It's either a guy in trunks or tights, cookie cutter haircut. Like, wrestling used to be, you had Vader, you had Andre, you had Pace, you had all these different Bam Bam, you had all these different body types and sizes, and now it's just okay. Well, we got the Young Bucks, and then we got Top Flight. Well, what's the difference? Well, Young Bucks are the CEO. Like, there's no guys don't stand out. It's just very similar. Like, like Darby Allin and Orange Cassidy. Besides, if you take the gimmicks away, if you put them in a lineup, I would not be able to tell you who's who. Like honestly, same body type, they dress similar. Like there's no uniqueness. Like a guy like Eddie Kingston, like even Pentagon and like these mask guys. Okay, Pentagon goes Sato Amaro, okay, and then he just does a bunch of flips. Great. What's like? There's no more like a guy like Homicide or a guy like Eddie Kingston. Guys that like there's no believability. Like I don't turn like I remember when I was a kid, you would turn on wrestling and be like, oh my god, I would never mess with the Undertaker. I would never pick a fight with Stone Cold. Hell, I wouldn't pick a fight with fucking D'Lo Brown. Like now you turn on television and how many grown men are gonna go? Really? I'm supposed to be intimidated by Darby Allin? Like. I don't know. I feel like the believability of and then I feel if you are believable, you get bastardized for it. And I don't think people want I think they want this goofy, silly, happy-go-lucky stuff. And that's just I want Stan Hansen. I want a motherfucker that's half blind, clotheslining people in the face.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. And the thing is, if everyone looks the same and there's no difference, it's like, you know, it's almost like you've seen, like in the last few years, professional wrestlers try and be too much like UFC fighters in a way, like just look like an athlete and have very little personality or persona.
Yeah. Like, you know, and again, you got Brock Lesnar for that. The guy's got the fucking personality of a fucking newspaper, but he'll kill you. Yeah. We don't need fucking 50 of them. You know, you need your Stone Colds, you need your Hulk Hogan's, your Randys. Like, you need different person. Like, look at a guy like my favorite wrestler is Jake Roberts. Jake Roberts had the body of a fucking sock fold with pudding. He wasn't in shape, but you believed every word. If he said he was gonna if Jake Roberts came to you and said, "I'm gonna end your life," you'd be like, "This motherfucker's gonna end my life." Like you believed it.
Yeah.
If Orange Cassidy or I don't know, even Lance Archer, if Lance Archer was like, I'm gonna stab you in the no, you're not. Shut the fuck up. You're gonna put in your little dreadlocks and you're gonna go in the back and you're gonna play video games. Like it's not like that's why I feel like a guy like Eddie, and I always say like guys like Eddie and Homicide, like I'd be like, all right, you know what? These guys would jump me in the parking lot and steal my fucking wallet and steal my shoes and shit. Like you believe it. And now there's even on WWE, like who on WWE is intimidating? You got that almost like okay, he's tall. But besides that, even Riddle, who's a legitimate badass. I don't look at Riddle and be like, this guy's coming out on a razor board scooter. I'm supposed to be, and he got birds flying out of his entrance. I'm supposed to be saying,
right? Yeah, true.
But it's like, but I think as well, like, you know, with someone like Riddle though, like, yeah, stepping away from the MMA gimmick and doing something like as a character and being like that, they've just made him to be a fucking joke at this stage, really. You know, like
he's the new age Rob Van Dam. Yeah, he's the new age Rob Van Dam without Rob Van Dam's ability. He's the cool stoner guy, which I don't even know why they're like it was cool when Van Dam did it because you know smoking pot was like still taboo. Now everyone smokes pot. It's like why are you kind of like winking at it still? Just he smokes weed. Okay, big fucking deal. Move on. Then if you want something edgy, have him shoot up heroin in the back and have Randy Orton catch him. I don't fucking know, but no one cares. You know, they have a guy like Karrion Kross or whatever his name is. That you know, there's a guy that legitimately looks like he'll kill you.
Yeah.
And they're gonna just probably job him out because Vince is gonna have a bug up his or the dude from the Monster Factory. What's his name? Damian whatever Priest.
Oh, yeah, Damian Priest.
This dude looked like a badass, and they have him come out. Yeah, they have him come out on NXT looking like a badass with the cool entrance and the fire, and then he comes out on Raw and he's looking like fucking 6'5" Chris Angel. How is that intimidating?
Yeah, 100%. But, you know, with you've recently changed your gimmick up a little bit going to the Kaide Lothbrok as opposed to the Stockade. You know, is there a difference that you've tried to implement in the gimmicks themselves? Like, obviously, you know, with the body transformation is one thing, but what have you tried to do differently from what you were doing as Stockade now?
So my style is more like when I was bigger, it was pretty much, you know, a big man style, like a Vader or a Bigelow. And I've never been a fan of that style. Like I said, my favorite wrestlers have always been like Jake Roberts, Terry Funk, you know, guys that could work, tell stories. Mm-hmm. So my styles, I've still kept elements of, that's why the name is Kaide. Originally it was just Kaide, but Danny Moff was like, dude, you know what? He's like, if you're going to change it, do a complete 180, not like, but keep it similar. So that's why I added the last name Lothbrok, which is a Viking legend thing, which is kind of Finn Balor did it. His name was Prince Devitt. Obviously, everyone knows that. And Finn Balor is a Irish Scottish legend. But I changed the gear. I changed the look a little bit. I used to paint my face. I don't do that anymore. I'm trying to basically be as close to who the real person, Kaide is, Joe, is, and bring that element to the wrestling. And I'm just, this is like what Stockade was given to me, and it was given to me by NYWC. And I always make a joke that it was my slave name that I got rid of. But, you know, like it was given to me, and it was always, as much as I made the character my own, it was never mine. And I'm very much big on, especially this point in my life, like if I'm going to succeed, I want to do it my way. And if I'm going to fail, I'm going to fail, but I'm going to fail doing it my way. And that's just where I'm at. And that's it. Like, you know, Stockade was great. I did a lot of great things with it. And I'm still, like, Stockade's always going to be part of me. But to me, a guy calling himself Stockade at almost 400 pounds and a guy calling himself Stockade at 239 pounds, it's not, you know, I don't feel like a Stockade anymore. And I was like, if I'm going to change my body, I'm going to change everything. And that was the whole go behind it, you know, and just, it's the same, but different. I left the territory and I started anew, basically.
Yeah. But as far as now, like, you know, you've got, like, obviously some pretty unique views on wrestling and also deathmatch wrestling. Is deathmatch something that you want to try and step away from?
Yeah, I mean, what was that? I mean, you broke up a little bit.
I said, like, is deathmatch wrestling something that you plan on sort of taking a step back away from a little bit and distancing yourself from it, or you still plan on being involved in that genre?
So, see, like, deathmatch wrestling has changed so much. When I got into it, which was at least 2013, 2014, it was still, like, taboo. It was like, you would hear about Masadas and the Matt Tremonts and those guys. And like when they were on the show and whoever's working them, you'd be like, oh, fuck, did you work with so-and-so? Now, everyone in there are guys that are doing death matches that should never be doing death matches. There are girls, and I'm okay with it, but there are girls doing death matches just so they can say, like, I did a death match. Like, deathmatch wrestling was like that last outlaw stuff. The last thing that fans were really like, yo, wrestling's fake, but this deathmatch shit, that shit's real. Which was cool because it gave you that aura of like realism and that stigma of like, this guy's legit. Now, like I was saying, everyone's done it. So I'm not doing it. I'm doing it selectively for certain people. And if it's a match that I really want to do, I'm not just going to do it like I used to do it, where I was getting booked solely to do death matches. I was getting brought in to wrestle fucking these complete schmuckaleptics and doing death matches with them and watching them just mutilate themselves. And now I want to have a rhyme and a reason to it. So like for H2O, absolutely. And if it's somebody that I really want to do it with, or it's somebody that really wants to do it with me, and yes, but in overall traveling for it and doing it on a daily, consistent basis, no. I'm moving away from that and trying to show people I can do else, you know, other stuff. Like Mega says, I can actually work.
And do you have promoters giving you that opportunity, or are they saying, yeah, if you're not going to do a death match, then yeah, we're not going to book you?
I've had some like, hey man, you know, we want to book you for like, I've had companies like, we want to book you for this deathmatch tournament. And I'm like, man, I don't feel like sitting in a car for 14 hours to do a deathmatch and sit back in the car for another 14 hours with a bunch of guys. And it's just not appealing to me. But then I also have promoters that are like, hey man, like one company up in Buffalo, they were like, we don't book deathmatch guys. I'm like, well, that's right. I don't do deathmatches anymore. And now I'll be working for them. And with the country now opening up more and wrestling happening more opportunities are presenting itself for me in that, which is good. Because, you know, again, like I used to get offended when guys are like, we're not going to use you because you're a deathmatch guy. It's like, fuck you. But I get why. Because, like I said, it has a stigma. It's got this, you know, they don't think either you can't work or you don't know how to work or you're dangerous. It sucks because there are a lot of really good deathmatch guys out there. You know?
Oh, 100%. And I think deathmatch wrestling was probably really big in the early 2000s, and then it sort of like died off in a way where it was like really became taboo. Like it was like, oh, really? And I think probably the last couple of years we've really seen like a resurgence in deathmatch wrestling where almost like it's become, like it's got a cult following. It's almost like it's cool to be into death matches. It's like the hipster following almost, if you want to put it that way. Is that something that you've noticed over the years?
Oh, absolutely. That's what I was saying. Like, it died out like when Gage went to jail for robbing a bank. I don't know if anyone knows that now. For when Gage went to jail, there was like a drop off of, you had a couple guys, but Tremont really picked the ball up and carried it forward. Gage got out, and I think why deathmatch wrestling took off was because Vince or Hunter, whoever the fuck, you started seeing the top indie guys getting scooped up left and right. And then what was left was the second level tier of guys below them. And then you had the deathmatch guys, because, you're not, who's going to sign a Nick Gage or you're never going to think it's going to happen.
Yeah.
And I think now that when AEW started and then they started scooping up even more guys, the indies got dried up because all the really good talent or established guys got signed. And the only thing that was left that I think fans of that were, like, look, there's WWE fans, there's AEW fans, then there's indie fans, and then there's people that love all of it. The indie fans lost that core of their guys, and the only thing that was left was deathmatch wrestling. So I think that's why it blew up. And then all of a sudden, you got fucking no ring death matches, which I don't, no ring deathmatch wrestling. How the fuck is it wrestling without a ring? It's basically a bar brawl. But these things have blown up all over. And you know what? It's done wonders for a guy. There's a guy named Casanova Valentine. He can't wrestle his way out of a paper bag with a pair of fucking scissors, but he's a guy that can go kill himself in front of a fucking 150 people at a bar and create a buzz about himself. And now he's traveling the country. So it's good in that sense, but it's kind of like if you're watching your favorite band and then they get signed and then everyone's like, they sold out. Well, did they sell out, or did they just choose to become more mainstream? And that's what deathmatch wrestling is. Like I said, there are guys that do deathmatch wrestling that should never have done it just so they can be like, I did a deathmatch. Like David Arquette. What the fuck is David Arquette doing a deathmatch? He should be making shitty movies about being killed by giant spiders, and he's wrestling Nick Gage.
Yeah.
And he exposed Nick Gage because the motherfucker's a Hollywood actor, and he took Nick Gage down and held him down by the throat. But if you listen to Gage told him he was going to kill him if he doesn't stop. So it just, wrestling's whatever. Deathmatch wrestling is really cool, but it's been glorified and turned into this Hot Topic T-shirt that now everyone's going to go buy and be like, I'm a deathmatch fan. It's like, no, you're not. You're a fat guy yelling MDK.
Do you think like David Arquette was out of his element going into that? Because like I kind of watched that documentary that he did, and it's almost like, oh, you want to go play wrestler, and now you want to go and play deathmatch wrestler. Like, yeah, as I said before, guys sort of people go into shock with certain stuff like that, man. Like when their body starts going through glass and shit, it takes it to another level.
Yeah. I don't know for sure. I listen, man. Like, there's so many stories. If I'm a businessman and I run GCW and David Arquette wants to do a death match against my top guy, it's a no-brainer. It's going to get me. If Gage would have killed him in the ring, it would have got good press, bad press. It would have been phenomenal business. Arquette shouldn't have been in there. And if he wanted to do a death match, and again, this is no shots at Nikki, Gage is not the guy to do it with. You got to go in there with someone like a Tremont, a Jeff Cannibal, and Alex, a guy that's gonna take care of the person instead of go out there and try to murder, death, kill.
Just murder them. Yeah.
It's deathmatch. Yeah, it's deathmatch wrestling, but it's fucking wrestling. And fans forget that. Like I've done so many shows. Like I've seen guys land on scissors, and I'm like, what are you doing? Like a guy named Marcus Crane. And Marcus is a great guy. Apparently, he got an infection in his brain and had to have a part of his skull removed. And then the very first thing he did when he was able to do something physically was is it freezing again?
No, you're good. You're good.
He had a part of his skull removed, came back like a year later, and the very first thing he did was take light tubes to the head. So it's like these fans are so bloodthirsty, and they just there's no level of like, this is wrestling. It's kill yourself instead of wrestling. Instead of telling a story, it's go out there and cut yourself up. And Arquette went into a situation where he's in with Nick Gage, who's the god of this shit, and he was way over his head. And what happened. I don't know. I've heard so many different stories about the outcome. again, all I remember seeing on camera is David Arquette putting the gauge to the ground, and that's the god of this shit. And it just it's another thing of it leaves a sour taste in so many people's mouths. Like how do you promote something and then you got a guy going out there trying to kill a Hollywood actor, unintentionally or intentionally?
Yeah. Like it's almost like you see it and it's like, Arquette freaks out a little bit and gets a little bit spooked by what was happening in the ring. That's the way it sort of looked like it came across, and I think even Arquette even came forward and said that as well. Like he just sort of got spooked by it.
Oh, yeah.
He moved.
Well, think about it, man. I mean, you're a guy that he's not a wrestler. He's an actor. He's trained. But think about it, man. Like you're in the ring with you're in the ring with another man. He's stabbing you in the head with a fucking light tube. Like you can train for wrestling your entire life. You're not trained to take that type of pain.
Right.
It's a different mindset. You become used to it after you do it. But the first time you do it, like you said, it's a shock to your system. And he panicked and he got cut. And shit happens. He shouldn't have been in there, but as a businessman, I understand why GCW did it. It's great publicity.
Mainstream media, straight off the bat, it's mainstream media on independent professional wrestling. You'd be crazy not to take that opportunity. But
business is business. You have to.
Yeah, exactly. And if you're going to get the more eyes on your product, then you're absolutely going to go ahead with it. But I think as well, like as far as deathmatch wrestling, like how much of that has taken its toll on your body, like from using some of these weapons and stuff. Like, do you believe it has going to put a short into your career?
Like 100%, 100%. I mean, if I can get my old lady in here, like I literally walk with a limp. There are times that I'll wake up in the morning and from pain. I've done a lot of the cinder blocks. I've done the cactus elbows off the apron. I've done a lot of rough landing. I haven't really done much of the cuts and slices. So I've been fortunate on that where I won't do scissors. I don't do pigeon spikes, barbed wire, light tubes. That shit is thumbtacks. It's crazy. To a normal person, they'll be like, you're fucking crazy. But to a deathmatch guy, that's nothing. But the cinder blocks, taking big bumps off of the top rope to the cinder blocks, anytime you land on a cinder block, it sucks. It's rough. But yeah, I mean, I definitely think, which is another big reason why I'm trying to slide away from it more, because there's no way I can keep doing what I was doing. At 380 pounds, I had more cushion, and I was able to probably absorb more punishment. Now being what I'm at and the weight I'm at, like even just taking normal bumps, I feel it a lot more. So I know every time I take a bump on the floor or those blocks, it's going to be amplified. And I want to be able to at least get another 5 years out of my career before I have to fucking hang it up. And, Matt Tremont, I know I keep going back to Matt. Matt's 31 years old and he's retired. Dude's
Matt's
only been doing
31?
it for 10, 12 years.
Holy shit.
Matt's 31. I know he looks like he's fucking 50.
Wow.
But he's had to retire because he physically, he needed to take a break. Now, look, no one retires in wrestling, but there's a guy that, could only do that for so long. And towards the end of his career, he wasn't performing at the peak of what he was because he sacrificed his body for deathmatch wrestling. And that's the ultimate compliment I can give him. But looking at, Matt Tremont, wrestler, that's a compliment. But Matt Tremont, my friend, it's like, bro, what the fuck? Like, when we sit outside the building and, he has a cigarette and we're just hanging out and I can see in his face that he's having a hard time just saying it sucks. But it's the price you pay, right?
Yeah. And I've told you before, I didn't want that for you. I've told you that for years. Like, I don't want you to be, when you're 40 years old, crippled, fucked up in a wheelchair and fucking, can't play with your fucking lizards and shit because you can't fucking stand up. Or you have to play with your lizards because you're fucking on the ground.
Sitting down. It's funny because, like, you know how it is. Like, when you're young in the wrestling business, every vet can tell you, you bumped hard, you're this, you're that. You don't listen because you're just young and stupid. And now I'm at the point where I tell those kids the same things, and I'm like, man, you're not going to get it. And it's hard to tell someone, like, even guys that I trained, like, hey, man, you don't do this bump or don't do that or this. And then they're like, well, you did it. And that's kind of what I fell into with Mikey. Mikey would be like, why are you taking these bumps? And I'm like, really? Or even a guy like Tommy Dreamer. I remember I did a show with Dreamer, and he was like, "Why are you doing this?" I'm like, "Because I was 13 years old and I was watching ECW, and I watched you get thrown into a fucking bus. Why do you think I'm doing this?"
Do you think fans
And I'm not blaming
these
them. I
days
love ECW.
no. But do you think fans like expect a certain level of violence? Do you think they start to expect more as time goes on? Like, okay, we've been at this show. All right, now now you have to step it up.
Yeah, so that goes back to like you got GCW, you have H2O, you got a few different deathmatch pros, but GCW is the mecca, and I guess it would be GCW and ICW. The problem is it's like if put it this way, if you walk down the street and you see two dogs fucking, the first time you'd be like, holy fuck, look at that, there's two dogs fucking. But if you walk down that street every single day and those same two dogs were fucking, you'd be like, whatever. That's what happens on these deathmatch shows, because now every single match is a deathmatch. Okay, well, if the first match is barbed wire and chairs, okay, then the next match is light tubes and this. Where the fuck do you go? And you become desensitized to it. So now a light tube, which should be it's a glass light tube, is now like what wrestling is. It's like a super kick. It becomes desensitized. I can't even say the fucking word. That's what happens when you get hit in the head a lot. You can't even speak. But yeah, you just become numb to it. It's like, all right, cool. I just watched a guy go through 50 cabin light tubes. What is he going to do next? And then they do something crazier, which Masada introduces gusset plates, which are fucking steel plates with these spikes on them. And now guys jamming them into their skulls, gigging themselves and getting covered in blood. And then now there's scissor boards. And then there's these contraptions of death where it's like these deathmatch fans, they're literally fans that the company will bring in and be like, hey, we need you to set this stuff up. So you have fucking Johnny and fucking Bobby, who never touched a wrestling ring, putting together panes of glass, duct taping light tubes, and lighting them on fire for guys to go through. So it just escalated to a point where it's like, you're going to have to shoot somebody. Like, I've seen guys take a box cutter and stab each other. Where the fuck you go?
Jesus Christ.
Like, the level, and that's what I love about H2O, though, because Matt, as much as Matt's known for being the king of the death matches and everything, we tell a story. It's not deathmatch. It's story, deathmatch, blow off. Then it's right back to building again, which is how it should be. But all these companies, and it's great that there are guys that are getting work, but how, let's be honest. If Nick Gage doesn't get signed to AEW, how much longer can a 40-something-year-old Nick Gage be doing this shit? Like, what is he going to do?
Right.
And that's what worries me. That's my thing. Like, there's no tomorrow. And that's what a lot of these young deathmatch guys, and it's something that I honestly wished I listened to a guy like Mega and Mikey about, because, dude, when I was 17 to about 29, I would leave a job. I would quit. I didn't care, because I was like, I'm a wrestler. You get that point where it's like, all right, man, I was 30 years old, living in a one-bedroom apartment. I'm like, the fuck, I got nothing to show for myself. And I got people outside of wrestling, younger than me, got a house, married, kids, and I'm like, oh, so I get to say I played wrestler on the weekend. And that's the thing. Like, the fans are great, but they have pushed the envelope so much that where guys are not going to have that longevity to build careers, and the level of violence is reaching a point where I don't know. Like, I don't know what's next, because I don't even know what you can do to, like, what you can safely do to someone without legitimately killing them. Like, I've heard guys wanting to cut their pinky off. Guys wanting to get shot with riot guns, with the bean bags. Yes. Like, I've seen and heard some dumb shit where it's like, this isn't wrestling now. Now it's reaching a crazy level.
Yeah, like I remembered, like, just the other day I was watching some like crazy backyard deathmatch shit from Russia, and I'm just like, what the fuck? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I see some of that shit, and I'm just like, you're doing that in the backyard with overgrown grass and like fucking two people sitting there and watching it, and it makes no sense. And I think that, obviously, as you said with Tremont, and I think Tremont is kind of one of those guys where it's like, yeah, he's a deathmatch wrestler, but it's almost like you get that throwback type of feel with him. Like, you know what I mean? Like that Dusty Rhodes kind of, you know what I mean? Like that bloody brawl. That's the feeling I get with Matt. He's definitely a thing. And I always say deathmatch wrestling is good. And like, I enjoy it. I've got friends that are deathmatch wrestlers, but for me personally as a fan and being a fan of it for over the years, I now like to see deathmatch wrestling when it tells a story where there's a payoff at the end of it. Like that, the deathmatch is the payoff.
That's the payoff.
And
right?
And that's
I
what
tell,
it should be.
and I tell people, like, recently, they're like, I go, you need to check out, if they say, oh, I've never watched deathmatch wrestling, I go check out Ricky Shane Page versus Nick Gage at Run Ricky Run. And I go and watch the complete lead up to that fucking 12 months. That is how it should be done, because it was a great payoff. It made RSP the ultimate fucking heel at the end of it, where he got that real old school heat where people are fucking throwing piss and shit and, you know, garbage in the ring, throwing fucking, you know, insane slurs and everything like that. That's the heat as a heel. Take deathmatch wrestling out of it, or any type of wrestling. That's the sort of reaction that you want as a fucking heel.
Absolutely, man. And that's the problem with, like, I guess, business today with a lot of these guys. Like, instead of wanting to build to something or wanting to work towards something, it's like I want to do it now. Why can't I do it now? Why can't I do this big bump now? Or nobody wants to build those stories? Like, you take a guy like Matt. We did a program at NYWC with myself, Matt, G Raver, and it was 6 months build to the big blow off match. But we built to it instead of just die. That's what's missing. And you talk about a guy like Matt. You know, Matt's one of the few guys who can actually talk people into the building and actually talk people into wanting to see a match. And, you know, like you were saying, like the Run Ricky Run thing, a lot of that was, you know, honestly, because Nikki was out and couldn't work, they had to tell the story. But that was the best thing that happened, because they were able to build Ricky as a shit heel and build the group. So then when Nikki came back, he was able to take it. But you don't get that much anymore, because, again, a lot of these wrestlers now are, and because of, I think because of the internet, it's, I want to see it now. I don't want to wait. Give it to me now. And nobody wants to do the build. And it's rare to find companies, even on WWE, they hot shot everything now. Everything's hot shot. And I don't know why.
Yep.
Everything. You know, they bring a guy like Aleister Black, they bring him back, they fire him. Why? Everything in wrestling is now hot shotted.
Yeah. I think, you're 100% right, and it comes down to, like, I think people don't have patience in this society. Like, people want shit now. It's like, I don't want to fucking wait. Like, I order something online, I want to get it tomorrow. Why do I have to wait a fucking week? Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. And I think that it takes it away from, like, professional wrestling, where it's like, you know, I'm all for storyline. Like, I remember being a kid back in the day, you watching, you know, Monday Night Raw, and it's like, oh fuck it, what the fuck? Now I got to wait a week. You know what I mean? And that whole week leading up to it, you're like, what the fuck's going to happen next? You know what I mean? Like, you keep people intrigued and on the edge of their seat. And I think that, you know, now you don't really see that much.
You don't see that in anything. Like, I'm a huge comic book kid. I grew up reading comic books. I would read the one, and I would have to wait a month to get the next issue. And you were like the whole month, like, what's going to happen to Spider-Man, or what's the outcome? Like, you were like waiting for that. And that's what wrestling should be. And now it's just like, and then on the indies, it's even worse, because guys are just going to go out there and not wrestle for the card. They're going to wrestle for them, because no one cares. No one cares about the story of the business. Like, it's like, I'm going to go out there, I'm going to have the very best match I can have. And then I don't care if I'm the first match, and then fuck the main event, because the main event's going to go out there. And then by the time the main event goes on, and if it's a guy like, like myself or Mega, if we work each other, we're not going to go out there and do flippy, dive, crash and burn. We're going to tell a story. We're going to tell the story of a match, whether I'm the heel or he's the heel. We're going to tell a story. But when you have a whole card full of guys just going out there and kicking and blocking and ducking and doing all these cool sequences, 1 or 2 matches are great. When it's the entire card, it takes away, like you said, it takes away that like, oh my God, what's going to happen? Or when you debut a guy and then he comes in to wrestle, and then he's on the show the very next day and he's jobbing out to somebody, or he's giving a guy, like, nobody wants to build anything. Like, it's just like, okay, here he is, he's going to wrestle. Okay, now it's done. Like, yay, we got a great pop. And like, Goldberg's going to come and they're going to build to Lashley. Great. You know he's going to lose. But at least you got 6 weeks of build. He'll squash a couple of guys, hopefully. But not like, hey, you show up and then next week you lose to Lashley. Like, it's just, I don't know. Wrestling's it's in a great spot in terms of how popular it is, but it's not the wrestling that I grew up in. It doesn't make it wrong. It's just not what I like. Like, I don't know. It's such a, you talk about it, like, and fans get so defensive. Like, well, if you don't like it, well, wrestling's changed and wrestling's evolved, and it's an art form, or wrestling's for everybody, which is another thing that drives me fucking crazy because I never remember wrestling wasn't for everybody. Like, I know it's just such a weird thing that we're involved in, like where guys are getting jobs, but then it's not wrestling. It's like more of a movie and then you got AEW saying we're sports based, and it's just the same old shit. Like, it's not wrestling.
Yeah, like I think as well, like
yeah.
but like even AEW, you know, like they did the whole like wins and losses are gonna mean shit, and then it's like,
yeah, it means nothing. It means nothing.
Like it doesn't. It's like it's professional wrestling. You can't sit there and
Right.
say wins and losses mean something. Like, okay, great, that's the way you want to sell it, but it's pro wrestling. It's like, you know, you ask fans, like it's like who lost this match between this person, this person. It's fucking irrelative. If they have a good match, you're going to talk about the match.
No one gives a fuck.
Yeah.
Nobody cares what wins or losses. The biggest thing, my problem with AEW, and like when I do, it's schizophrenic booking. Like, I'll watch it one week and this guy's a heel, and then the next week he's a babyface, and then he's a heel, and then he's a baby, and then he's a heel, and then he's teaming with the heel to wrestle two babies. But then I don't know what the fuck's going on. Like, every time I turn around, like Pentagon was a heel. Then he told Cody he was going to cripple him so he can't play with his kid. Then he's trying to find his brother. Then he's with this Alex Marvez guy. Then he's back to fighting Cody. And then you can't follow anything. It's so schizophrenic and odd. And then they debut a guy like whatever the fuck, Tommy End, and then he kicks Cody in the fucking head, and he kicks Arn Anderson in the head, and then the next week they're brawling. Why? Why can't you keep him strong, not touching Cody, but why can't he lay out fucking Arn Anderson's son, or kick Goldust in the balls? Or no, right away they're fighting each other. And they look like fucking Spy vs. Spy from fucking Mad fucking magazine. And it's just like, I don't want to see. I want, like, Sabu and Taz did not touch for months, and all you wanted was Sabu and Taz to touch.
Right. Yeah.
Well, you could have got that with Cody. Cody's fucking playing the Shawn Michaels Heaven role, and Aleister Black is the Undertaker evil role. You could have built to that, but no, we're just gonna throw it on TV now because why the fuck not? Because the fans want to see it. Well, good, make them pay for it.
Yeah.
They don't do that, and that's exactly
Make
what indie wrestling is. That's what now. It sucks. And absolutely,
Mikey. Yeah,
it's just
Mikey taught us that years ago. The fans want something. They want it. It's right here. Pull it back. Let them want it more.
Yeah.
Let them want it more.
They don't. Mikey always said it. The fans do. We dictate to the fans. The fans don't dictate to us. And somewhere along the way, that switched, and I don't know why. Like, I don't get, like, you got the Young Bucks are supposed to be the big top, like the elite. You got Kenny Omega looking like fucking anorexic Lemmy from fucking Motorhead, but like they're doing the YouTube show, and it's all just how do you watch that show and not like them? It's funny. It's, you know, it's inside jokes and it's little fucking winks at the camera. But if you're a wrestling fan, you're gonna be like, oh, these guys are funny and cool. But you're not supposed to like them. You're supposed to boo them.
Yeah.
So it's just counterproductive to what they're doing. It's just it's stupid. Like, and even in WWE, they do, like, I don't understand. You know, they brought back Keith Lee, just the job of why.
You know, you made a good point, and I remember you made a good point about that. And it's like, I remember I watched an NXT Takeover show, and they had the guy from Delft, Phasma, whatever it is, the cruiserweight guy, and you know, he came out and, you know, wins his match. He's got the cruiserweight titles, and then he goes back to the entranceway. He's the heel. His son comes out, does the pose down with El Fantasma and like that whole crew, but he's got his kid there. He's put the title over his kid. And I'm sitting there going, you're the fucking heel, bro. Like, that's the sort of shit that's a babyface shit right there. Like, what the fuck? And then, like, straight away after that, he's backstage doing a heel promo, and I'm like, did I miss something here? Like, it's hard for a fan to connect with that.
Like, could you imagine when the Horsemen broke Dusty's arm, if they went over and, like, they broke Dusty's arm, they're talking about it, and then Dustin's in the crowd crying because his dad's arm's broken, and Flair goes over and goes and hugs him. Like, what the fuck is this?
Correct.
Yeah.
Like, and that's what they're doing. Like, you want to hate, you need, like Piper always said it. Would Hogan be as over if they didn't hate Piper as much as they did?
No.
I don't know.
No.
Maybe not. But
Mm.
you need that heel. If I don't hate the heel, I don't. If I don't hate you, I don't. You could kick someone's fucking dog. Be like, all right, whatever. I don't give a fuck. Like, there's no
But that's the thing.
heel
If
anymore
it's
in
a
wrestling.
if it's a good heel, the babyface shouldn't have to do anything.
Shouldn't have to do anything. No.
Like, you know what I mean? The heel gets
Like the
the
only
heat, the
heel
babyface comes out.
Yeah, the only
Sorry,
heel
guys.
in wrestling is MJF. And there are times where I'm like, hey, people are like, wow, he takes it too far. I'm like, but he's a fucking heel. Like, separate MJF the character from the real person. Like, no one yells. Like, that's a big thing in wrestling. Like, and I don't know, Mega, you probably get offended, but no one heels out Leonardo DiCaprio for playing a fucking slave owner in Django. Nobody goes, we're canceling DiCaprio. He played a slave owner. But if a wrestler does something that's so egregious or something along that lines, cancel him. But if you look, if you can't say wrestling, fans say wrestling's an art form, right? Wrestling's art and it's up for interpretation. Okay.
Yeah.
But you can't have it both ways. You can't have a wrestler go, women deserve to be in the kitchen, and I don't believe in I shouldn't be, women or whatever. Well, now you're sexist, but that's my character. Oh well, no. But if an actor does it, well, that's okay.
Right.
It's such a weird dichotomy.
Right. Oh,
right.
absolutely.
And that's my biggest problem with wrestling now. It's like,
no, go on. No, you go.
No, that's like my thing with wrestling. Like, there's there's a big movement, and I'm all for whatever, you gay, straight, lesbian, trans, like, I'm by all means. But there's like this big movement now in wrestling that, like, well, we have to have only gay shows, we have to have only African American shows, or only this. Like, okay, but again, I'm not. Despite what Mega says, I'm not racist. You can't be racist when you hate everybody. It's a big difference. But like, I never remember a time like dude. How many times do we share a locker room with a guy like Rick Cataldo, who I know is he's canceled, but like with Rick or anyone else that was a lesbian, like, I've never looked at anyone differently. Like, oh, you're gay, don't change in the locker room with me. Like, this idea of like, I don't want it to sound like I'm trying to be insensitive, but I just don't get why, like, there's all these shows that are just designed for LBGT or this or that. Like, wrestling doesn't have, in my opinion, there's no, like, who cares? Like, if you're gay, you're gay. If you're black, you're green, blue, yellow. You sleep with girls, you cut your dick off, you grow a dick, you fucking shave your head, and you fucking go outside and dance with chickens. I don't fucking give a fuck what you do. But when you're in the wrestling ring, we're all the same. It doesn't matter if you were signed, not signed, like, and now this is whole, like, division of fans and wrestlers where you can't, if you're not down with this, you're not part of us type of situation. And it's such a weird dichotomy.
And it's almost like by doing that, you're taking the inclusivity out of it. You know what I mean? Like, you're excluding people. It's like wrestling should be an inclusive place. Like, it's, wrestling, I look at it like wrestling should be for everybody, because I think that wrestling has a place for everybody. If you're prepared to go in there, you're prepared to do the work, you're prepared to commit yourself to the training that's required to be in the business, and you have the commitment to it, then it doesn't matter what background you come from. It doesn't matter, like, if you like men, women, both, or you're black, white, green, or purple. It doesn't matter. As long as you're prepared to put in the work, you're going to take care of the person you're in the ring with, do good business. The rest of the shit shouldn't come into it.
Absolutely. And like, again, like, I mean, like, for Mega is one of my best friends in the wrestling business, and we have said some of the most fucked up, horrible, racist shit to each other. I will be in a locker room. Mega will walk in, take a sip of his fucking Starbucks because he's really a giant white girl in disguise, and he'll look at me and go, "Tell your mom I said hi." And I'll be like, okay. And then he'll say something to me, and I'll be like, he'll say something about white people being horrible and smelling like fucking vinegar. And then I'll turn to him and be like, yeah, well, if it wasn't for white people, you'd still be throwing spears at lions. But there's no hatred. It's not because, well, you're black, I hate you. No,
right.
It's just, we're two fucking friends. But like, that's what a wrestling locker room is. Like, I'll say something to Mega, but I'll say something to my friend who's a lesbian, and something along the lines of like, it's a shame you got a pair of tits, they're just a waste on you, like something like that. But there's no hate behind it. We're all right. We're like, when you're a wrestler and you're part of a wrestling locker room, it's a family. And
it's different.
This whole like, and like the fans are like, if there's like, and we'll out the bad people, like Joey Ryan and David Starr. We got rid of him. Let's move on. And then like you'll go on Twitter and people are still talking about what they did. Who fucking cares what they did? What they did can't be changed. Move the fuck on. Let's work on being better. And just people are hung up on such negative shit. It sucks. And it affects wrestling for that reason.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. I mean,
like
those two were dealt with, and it's like people still want to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've done shows where like I've seen fans get thrown out of shows for yelling, you know, suck my dick at a girl or calling a guy a faggot, which to those extents I understand it. But at the same time, man, like again, I've heard ECW guys go, well, we there are things that we can't do that we used to do, and I'm all for that. But when you're starting to censor, like if a guy is like if a fan calls me a faggot, and I'm not, it's not going to affect me. But I get it if it affects like a gay, someone that's LGBT. I totally do. So those things I understand. But that's where the Letterman fans we come together, and this idea of like wrestling needs to be for everybody. To me, it always was. I know we were just circling back to that same point.
Yeah, sure.
Right. Yeah, it always was. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, absolutely. But guys, it is that time of the show. It is time for Guess the Aussie Slang. So we've told Kate about this, how it's going to work. I'm going to break it down. I'm going to give him an Aussie slang word. I'm going to put it in a sentence, and he's going to tell me what it means. Now, have you ever been to Australia, dude?
No, but I actually did hook up with a girl from New Zealand many moons ago.
No.
That's like that.
Completely different, bro.
But the only thing I remember, and I remember it to this day because it's the fucking most adorable and funniest thing I've ever heard in my life. As we were doing the deed, she was like, "Don't do it inside me, but you can goo on my face." And I lost it laughing. It was the funniest fucking thing. It was adorable and hysterical all at the same time. I wanted to hug her and go, "You are the most adorable thing I've ever seen." Like that is goo on my face has stuck with me for like 10 years.
Jesus.
Yes. I don't know if that's just a New Zealand thing or if that's just like.
Yeah, no, that's not an Australian thing. Yeah, we're more vulgar than that.
Oh, shit.
But let's get into it. So
First one is
the first word is ciggy. Hey, Cade, can you pass me a ciggy? We also call this thing a durry.
I fuck. I don't know. I want to say cigarette, but I know it's not.
That is 100% what it is.
It is?
Okay,
I don't think a ciggy too. A ciggy, I guess easy.
Yeah. Okay, so this is another one. Devo. Oh, mate. I was completely Devo after that. Devo.
Fuck. Is it hungover?
No, it means devastated.
Devastated? Yes, 2 for 2.
All right, well, this isn't that. Okay, see, I'm thinking there's like some deep-seated meeting between you fucking Australian people. Obviously, you're not as clever as I thought.
Simple shit. I know.
Jeez, check her
I
out.
watched a lot of Crocodile Hunter.
Oh.
I'm guessing you're checking
all right, here's another one. Off her tits. Jesus, have a look at her, mate. She's off her tits.
I'm guessing that's like crazy or insane.
Yeah, off your tits could be also mean like drunk, hammered, like wasted, or like, geez, you're off your tits. Like you're completely out of there. So we'll give you a bit of that. Next is Dunny. Oh, can you show me where the Dunny is?
It's a toilet.
Yeah, that is. Yep. That's correct. All right. So next is Esky.
Crocodile Dundee, man.
Next is Esky. Hey, Esky, yeah. Can you grab the Esky out of the car, mate?
The fuck is that?
I don't know. Fucking some poison spider you fucking crazy people have down there. I have no idea.
No, it's like a cooler. It's like where you put ice in and drinks. And
like the fucking okay.
Yeah. All right, so this is another one. This is budgie smuggler. Oh fuck! My dad just rocked up at my house to go for a swim. He's wearing his budgie smuggler.
I'm guessing like something not like a fucking whatever the fuck, the swim trunks, like thong or whatever the fuck, or
Speedos.
Close. It's
trunks.
It's
wrestling trunks.
It's
Speedos.
It's a Speedo because like when you get in the water and you get out, it looks like you smuggle. Never mind. Anyway, let's move along.
Yeah. Let's move
on. All right. So this one as well. We go is Heaps. Mate, that's heaps good. Heaps.
A lot.
Yeah, or really very like, oh shit, that's amazing. That's great.
Okay.
Heaps good. Yeah. So, all right. So another one is like, this one is have a go, mate. Come on, mate, have a go.
Oh, I know what that is.
Yeah, fucking give it a try, something like that.
Like, you want to fight? Have a go, mate.
Right.
Come on, have a crack.
Oh, okay,
Let's
yeah,
go.
okay.
I know
Let's go,
that.
cunt.
I
Yeah.
know that
so,
one.
All right. So here's another one. So this one's going to be like, there's going to be multiple in this one. So this is going to be Franger, Old Fella, Sheila, and Root. Okay. So like Franger, Old Fella, Sheila, and Root. And here it is in the sentence. Hey, fellas, either you got a spare Franger? I just picked up this Sheila and I need a Franger for me old fella because I think she's keen for a Root.
I know Sheila's a chick. I'm guessing.
Yeah.
It's basically I need a condom for my dick so I can fuck this girl. Is what it is, right?
Yeah, that's pretty much exactly what it is.
Oh shit!
Okay, there we go.
Fuck! Holy shit! You fucking holy Christ!
All right, so here's another one. This is crack the shits. My wife just sent me a text message. I think I just woke the baby up. She's cracked the shits.
That's like fucking pissed off or upset.
Yeah. So pissed off, angry, disappointed.
Crack the shits.
Yeah, she's cracking the shits. You could also use cutting sick in the same sense, which would mean that she's going off her fucking rocker.
Cutting sick.
Where the fuck
Cutting
do those
sick.
words come from?
Oh, this bitch is cutting sick.
Mate, like we make some shit up here in Australia, bro. Like seriously, like we're the only place in the world where we call our mates cunts and cunts mate. Figure it out. It's the Australian oxymoron. But that's been the Australian Aussie slang game. Cade, thank you for coming on, shooting the shit
Piers,
uncensored.
I can call you a cunt.
You can call me a cunt. I don't give a shit. Yeah, like that's you by calling me that is the highest like compliment one dude can give another dude. Like, yeah. Like if I go, you're a sick cunt, mate, that is like the biggest fucking praise that I can give you.
You fucking crazy bastards. You fucking sick cunt.
That's good. But Cade, where can everyone find you and get some merch and follow you on social media, dude?
Social media is Kaide Lothbrok on Facebook, and then same on Twitter and Instagram. I'm like out of merchandise pretty much. I think I have some on deathmatchelite.com. There's a couple shirts, but just hit me up for like I have a couple shirts left and some hats and 8x10s. But as far as wrestling, tomorrow Atlantic City, New Jersey, H2O, it's their debut in Atlantic City, and then yeah, man, just doing my thing, and eventually gonna get that old fuck King Mega over there back in the ring so I can stretch his ass out. And
I'm changing my name to fucking King Cunt.
But man,
Cunt Lothbrok.
There you go.
But man, look, thank you very much for being a guest on the show. I definitely think we could have gone another hour and a half very easily. I think we should definitely do a part 2 a bit further on down the track, man. But look, thank you for coming on, Mega.
Further on down the track, some more Australian shit. Further on down the track. What are you on the fucking train?
Mega, did you tell everyone about? Did Mega tell everyone how he got turned down for Coming to America 2? Did you go into that?
Jesus Christ. With that said, all right.
It's
guys, this is King Cunt with Pissed Austin and Cunt Lothbrok.
That's it, guys. Thank you very much for tuning in, guys. Thanks for checking out. Make sure you click that subscribe, share, like buttons. And till next time, we'll catch you soon. Check out our sponsors, The Wrestling Universe, Sleeps.com, Healthape.com. Check out MWA Podcast Network. We're shooting the shit uncensored, killing the business, Get Funked, and Knights of the motherfucking Gimmick Table. Until next time we see you guys, take care of yourselves. Say hi to your mum for me. Peace.